So here's the chapter 3 test that you guys just took. Some of you didn't take it. You know, if you went to beta convention or were sick, you get to take another version of this test. Completely different answers, and it's the only shot you get because I cannot spend another 2 hours of my life making another test. I just don't have it. So that's how it is. All right, so factoring by and large is a huge deficit with most kids. I don't know what to do about it. I really don't. You know, I've talked about this, how this is always wrong, but it gets picked anyways. This is always wrong. You know, maybe you should foil. I don't know why kids are picking this. Do you not know how to foil? Is it because you don't know what 8 times 2 is? Like, what is it? Is it because you've never tried to do anything on your own? Obviously, this isn't it. So anyways, but by the way, you'll notice I did something there with the answer choices. I foiled. I can always foil answer choices. I can always foil answers. I can do that. It's longer though. What I could do is I could pull a 4, and x squared minus 16 is x minus 4 times x plus 4. Choice 5. Or I could not pull a 4. It would take a 2x and a 2x to create 4x squared, and 64 is 8 and 8. There is literally nothing in the middle, so one's negative, one's positive. My tracking's off. Choice 2. That's how hard this question is. You have a pattern given here. It says plus, minus, plus. It says plus, minus, plus. You see how long that took? It said plus, minus, plus. Plus, minus, plus. Oh, choose all equivalent to 64n cubed plus 16. Okay, plus, minus, plus. Plus, plus, plus. No. Plus, minus, plus. Maybe. Plus, minus, plus. Minus, plus, plus. No. It's probably going to be choices 2 and 3. But anyways, let's see. What do these numbers have in common? Boy, I'm tired, but let's just do straight up factoring. It takes a 4n cubed to become 64, and it takes a 6 cubed to become 216. So what I've done is I've identified A is 4n and B is 6. So I'm going to start plugging my pattern. I'd have a 4n plus a 6. I would take a 4n and square it. Minus, because there's a minus, I'd have 4n times 6. Plus, because there's a plus, 6 squared. So that's going to generate 4n plus 6. 4 times 4 is 16. N times n is n squared. 4 times 6 is 24. And 6 squared is 36. So that's going to be this one. Now, to create this one, you could have pulled an 8 from the get-go, but most kids may not see this. I notice both these pieces are divisible by 2. And these pieces are all divisible by 4. Oops. Forgive me, I am I'm very tired and I'm going to make mistakes right now. And if I link up the 2 and the 4, 2 times 4 is 8. You know, a lot of the tests, I actually looked at several tests as I went through the day, and a lot of people, most showed no work. Like, what did you expect? Your math teacher's always just showing you work, and you don't do any work. You're going to fail. People are like, but I work better with my hands. I'm a hands-on learner. You literally hold a pencil in your hands. You just choose not to use the dang thing. All right, another multiple select. Select all expressions equivalent to z to the fifth. This is actually worth talking about. I noticed that the first pairing has z to the fourth. What's left is z minus 3. Notice that's z minus 3. A lot of people pick choice 3. That says z plus 3. I can pull a negative 16 from the back. If I pull a negative 16 from negative 16z, there's a z left over. If I pull a negative 16 from 48, it's a minus 3. The common factor is z minus 3, and the stuff that's left over is z to the fourth minus 16. So that's choice 2. Now z to the fourth minus 16 will factor, takes a z squared and a z squared to create z to the fourth because we add exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4. 16 is 4 and 4. To add to the understood no z in the middle, one's positive, one's negative. That is not an option because this guy factors. I'm sorry if you don't like factoring. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. You can either get good at factoring or you can just fail miserably this year. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. You have to know how to factor. Choice 5. Anyways, you see where it says looking for graphical equivalency? I really don't like teaching that because this stuff tends to be on the non-calculator part of your EOC, but whatever. But man, I'm not doing it because I don't need my honors kids doing it, so no. Figure it out or ask me in person. Use the remainder theorem to determine which of the following are factors of this. The first thing you have to realize is that this is saying x is negative 1. This says x is negative 2. This guy, the amount of kids I see writing that out is beyond ridiculous, but whatever. X is a half. X is 4. X is negative 4. X is 5. X is 5 halves, because I'm jumping and dividing. X is 7 halves. This is a funny looking one. X is root 3 over 2. It's negative. All right, so I need to figure out which of the following are factors of this thing. So I'm going to do this with the storage feature of my calculator. That's what I'm going to do. I'm looking for factors, and factors create zeros. So I have something that says x is negative 1, negative 1, store to x. Pick up a calculator, play along. Don't just sit there and say, I can do that, when you've never done it and you get to test time and you can't do it. Do you have any idea how frustrating this is? The level of instruction you're getting is awesome. It is you that are the problem. Cool, I found one. I hadn't found one. Yeah, I found one because I got a 0. So on this particular test, now by the way, there's multiple versions of the test, but they have the same answers with the exception of a couple. So don't let that throw you off. Cheating is sadly an issue. All right, so the next one, I'm going to take a negative 2 and store to x, negative 2, stow x, enter. I'm going to arrow up to that previously typed in equation, press enter, not that one. I've got this 1/2 here, so 0.5 or 1/2, however you want to do it, store x, enter, arrow, 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 arrow. Looking for zeros, by the way. Not it. There's a 4 right there, 4, stow x. I saw a number of kids sitting there typing in every time to evaluate a number. You took a problem like this and you made it take 10 minutes. You didn't finish the test because you weren't prepped. You didn't finish the test because you don't play along. You didn't finish the test because you don't do. You have to do. You have to do things. And I'm getting furious about it. Just beyond it. Not that one. Here x is 5, 5 store x. So what you're hearing is the sound of a very disgruntled teacher. I apologize for that, but frustration is real. There we go. 5 halves, probably not it, but why not? 5 over 2 stored x. Of course, there was an easier way if you're holding a calculator in front of you. You could have just looked at a graph. But the graphs won't show you the ugly ones. But they'll give you an idea. Now I'm just doing the storage feature, kids. This one's negative root 3 over 2, negative square root 3, arrow out, divide by 2, store to x. Oops, I forgot to arrow up, didn't I? Now, there were only 3 choices on the answer document, so 1, 2, 3. All right, 6 was different on the 2 versions of the test, just as an effort to minimize cheating. So use synthetic division to find the quotient and remainder of this, and this was alarmingly missed by probably 75% of all students. Missed this. Like, it was bad. Probably because placeholder gotcha. See that missing 0x cubed? But even then, there were kids who didn't do the placeholder, who did the placeholder and still missed it, because you can't add. 0 plus 4 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, negative 2 and 16 is 14, 4 times 14 is 56, 3 plus 56 is 59, 4 times 59 is 236, 2 times 236 is 238. You'll notice I didn't use a calculator. You guys are doing basic multiplication with a calculator. Like, what is wrong with you? So we have the remainder, we have the constant, we have the x, we have the x squared, and we have the x cubed. This is x cubed plus 4x squared plus 14x plus 59 plus 238 pieces of x minus 4, because I want quotient plus remainder. That's how you write it out. So on the other one, the divisor here was a 3. You still had the same issue of having to have a placeholder. The numerator was all the same. And we drop. And 3 times 1 is 3. And we add. And we multiply. And we add. And we multiply. And we add. And we multiply. We get 72, I think. 3 times 24. I think it's right. Making no mistakes. Yeah, 72, 74. And here we go. Still have the same deal. Remainder, constant, x, x squared, x cubed. We have x cubed plus 3x squared plus 7x plus 24 plus 74 pieces of x minus 3. There's synthetic division. Long division. That was bad. It always is. It was the same on both tests. It's going to take a 2x to let this guy become 2x cubed. And then we have to distribute. We wrap before we subtract, same way I taught you. Gone. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. 4 minus a negative 2 is plus 2. Bring down. Now I want to become negative 6x squared, so I need a minus 6. So minus 6x squared minus 12x plus 6. Wrap before I subtract. We have 2 take away a negative 12, which is positive 14. I've done something wrong, haven't I? Oh, it's right here. That's a 6. 6 take away a negative 12, which is positive 18x. Negative 5 take away 6, which is minus 11. And x squared is not going to become x, so this is my remainder. Choice D on this version. I couldn't tell you what it was on the other one. Just don't know. Don't remember. This one didn't go well either. So factors of C, which is the back, this is C over factors of A, which is the front. C is always the constant at the end, kid. Factors of 12 are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. The only reason you didn't get this right is because you don't know what factors of 12 are. Like, how are you a junior? How do you breathe? Like, how do you brush your teeth? How are you able to walk upright? There's a lot of questions I have for you, and I don't understand you. Because I'm being incredibly sarcastic here, but that's the reality of it. How do you not know numbers that multiply to become 12? Just don't get it. Anyways, so I'm going to have all of this plus all of this over 3. So I'm going to have plus or minus 1/3, plus or minus 2/3. 3 over 3 is 1, already in the list, plus or minus 4/3. 6 over 3 is already is 2 in the list. 12 over 3 is 4 in the list. So, that guy. That's how hard that problem is. There were 2 different number 9s. Each test had a different version. And it says, look at the graph. And I mean this, the number of kids who couldn't give me the 2 real zeros from a graph is ridiculous. Like 50% of the juniors could not give me 2 real zeros. It was bad. I don't know what kind of disconnect is going on there, but you guys are making me question whether or not I should be a teacher. We practice this constantly in class. We did. I mean, it was something that was constantly done, and you couldn't do it. I don't know. Anyways, maybe you've never pushed buttons in a calculator. Maybe you're that one kid who asked who didn't know that there was I don't know, they could use the X key. I mean, that happened last test. Whatever, man. Play along. Zoom 6. You're going to see your real zeros. I think both of these have the same real zeros. There's one at -2 and there's one at 3. So they exist. That's from the graph. All right, look at my graph. There is a real 0 at x equals -2. There is a real 0 at x equals 3. So I know that x is 2 or -2 or 3 from the graph. It's time for me to do synthetic division. Coefficients are 1, -1, 3, -9, -54. I'm going to do the -2 first for no reason. -2 times 1 is -2. -1 plus -2 is -3. -2 times -3 is 6. 3 plus 6 is 9. -2 times 9 is -18. -9 plus -18 is -27. -2 times -27 is 54. I have a 0. Because I got a 0, I can drop down and I can do it all over again. This time with 3. 3 times 1 is 3. -3 and 3 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 9 plus 0 is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. Got my 0. So remainder constant xx squared. I have synthetically divided out 2 factors in some sense, and I am left with x squared plus 9, which by the fundamental theorem of algebra says there's 2 zeros. It must be a 0. I subtract 9. X squared is -9. The opposite of squaring is square rooting if you've listened at all in my class. And x is going to be plus or minus 3i. Because you were required to memorize that the square root of -1 is I. Like you were required to memorize that. You're just making life harder on yourself by not memorizing little things. That's all you're doing. That's it. So let's type in the other one here. I'm pretty sure it has the same real zeros. It does. -2, 3. But that doesn't mean the imaginary zeros are different. Imaginary zeros are going to be different. So, same process, but with these numbers. You don't have to do the -2 first if you don't want to. -2 times 1 is -2. Sum is -3. Product is 6. Sum is 16. Product is -32. Sum is -48. Product is +96. There's a 0. Because a 0 was obtained, I can drop down and do it again. This time I'm going to do it with the 3, just like I did before. 1 times 3 is 3. 0, 0, 16, 48, 0. This time I'm left with x squared plus 16, which must be a 0. So x squared is -16. The opposite of squaring is square rooting, understood 2. And the square root of -16 is plus or minus 4i. 4 zeros. 4 zeros, kids. Was not that hard. All right, so this one had 2 different answers. And I've been doing the 76-point version. Weird zeros have conjugates. To form a conjugate, change the sign of the weird thing. The degree of the polynomial is the number of zeros. I swear that 80% of the student body missed this question. 80% of you missed this. -3 is not a weird zero. √7 plus 1 is. Its conjugate changes the sign on the weird piece. 3 minus 4i is a weird zero. Its conjugate changes the sign on the weird piece. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. 5, or preferably 5th degree. I also accept x to the 5th. Now, there was that one, there was this one. All right, conjugate of a positive √5 is -√5. Conjugate of 3 minus 2i is 3 plus 2i. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's x to the 5th, whatever you want to write. Don't really care, just get it right. There was different 11s. I literally had this hint. It said, the thing with the biggest exponent. It's that guy. Or maybe it's that guy. All right? 71 zeros. 54 zeros. Like this is another one of those questions. 1 and 3 missed. A third missed it. Third missed that question. Blows my mind. So find all the zeros, including the multiplicity. It's the zero product property. 3x squared is 0. So x is 0. It happened twice. M equals 2. X equals 0, x equals 0, x equals 0. Doesn't mention it. Gone. X squared plus 3 has a factor there of 1. So x squared plus 3 is 0. X squared is -3. X is going to be plus or minus the imaginary root of 3. That 1 is the multiplicity. So I'm looking for plus or minus the imaginary root of 3. And these two don't have it. Choice A. Or maybe it was a different choice on your version, but this is the correct one on this one. Polynomial has 27 turning points. What is the least degree of the polynomial? It says x to the n has at most n minus 1 turning points. In other words, add 1 to the number of turning points to get the least degree. 27 plus 1 is 28. 29 plus 1 is 30. Why are we missing stuff that easy? Especially when there's a hint and you're taking a 76-point version. Use the graph for parts 1 through 4, state the zeros and how many times they happen. So I don't have enough room up here, but if I'm looking at part 1, here's a 0. It's x equals -1. It is a crossing, so the multiplicity is 1. Here's a 0. It's x equals 1. It's a touch. Touches are even. Touches happen at least twice. Here's another one. It's x equals 3, and its multiplicity is 2. Easy problem. Based on your zeros and multiplicity, the polynomial is at least what? 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5, at least a 5th degree polynomial. State the least degree of the polynomial based on turning points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turning points plus 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. End behavior. This thing starts low, ends high. It's low to high. That's x to the odd. Again, your retake ain't going to be the same. It's different questions. So don't sit here and think you get to memorize this and you're going to be okay, because you're not. You've got to understand the concepts. All right, the equation of polynomial in factored form, do not forget to find a. So this guy happened once, and it's x equals -1, so the factor is x plus 1 with an understood 1 for an exponent. These guys both happened twice, change signs, x minus 1 multiple of 2, and x minus 3 multiple of 2, and there's some letter a out front, so it's y equals this. So let's look at what I got and see what I can throw away. Oh, by the way, if I'm positive x to the odd, I can't be that one or that one. Now can I? So that took me from 1 right and 5 to 3 and 5, or whatever, 1 and 3, if I'm guessing. Here's where this point comes into play. We've been over and over this forever. You guys just don't bother doing any of your own work. That's a problem. Too many cheaters. I've talked to Cantrell and Garner, and they said that was an issue with you. You guys blindly copy other people's work. So that either gets fixed by you or I fix it, and you won't be happy about it. I promise you. You will not like the alternative. Everywhere I see a y, I'm an 18, and everywhere I see an x, I'm a 0. So if you got to be a button pusher or whatever, if you got to pipe in 0 plus 1, so be it. But I know 0 plus 1 is 1. This is a -1 that is squared. This is a -3 that is squared. And like I said, if you got to be a button pusher, I mean, so be it. Just make sure you can push buttons properly. I don't know why a 16, 17, 18-year-old doesn't realize that a negative squared is positive. I don't know what kind of disconnect you're on. I don't know how many times you got dropped on your head when you were a kid, but you ought to know that. Something's wrong with you.
Pardon this interruption.
I forgot the A, didn't I? So I have 18 equals 9A. A is 2.
During your lunchtime today, after you eat lunch, you will go up there and
Polynomial has roots at x equals 0, multiplicity of 2. X equals 0 is the factor x minus 0, or just x. The multiplicity is 2, it's x squared. X minus root 3 is x plus root 3, and this is weird. Okay, so we also have x minus root 3. Now, I need to figure out what this is. X times x is x squared, minus x root 3, plus x root 3. A radical times itself is the number inside, positive times the negative is negative. This ends up being x squared minus 3. Bring that down, there's an x squared. And we use the distributive property, x to the 4th minus 3x squared. Choice C. Sorry about Coach K talking and being loud there. It is what it is. Here we have ourselves a little table. This was also very bad. I think I don't know what to do with y'all. So it clicks stat, it clicks edit. It puts the x's into list 1 and the y's into list 2, and bummer, this calculator doesn't have it, so I have to waste time. But anyways, you can play along now. Clear it. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it goes 7, 8, 9, then it makes a weird jump. Yeah, it does. 8, 9, 12, 14, 17. Okie dokie. List 2 goes the data, 63, 73, 79, 88, 108, 125, 150, 164, 184, 215, 213, 200, and then 221. Now, once you've got it, oh man, that stinks. I have a typo somewhere. I really don't have time for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, 17. So it's got to be over here. No, I didn't include 0. Oh, can I insert? Cool, I can. All right, that looks good. Once you get everything typed in, second quit, stat, calc, it says cubic. Look, it says cubic right there. That's choice 6. Looking for cubic regression. Enter. Done. So see that negative 0.0516 right there, choice C. Use your model to predict how many bald eagles nests we found this year. It was 2024. The data starts in 2000, so the time is 24. So I'm going to take a 24, put it there, there, there. I only have a couple of minutes left here. Stinks. I need this done before 5th period starts, and it's not cooperating. Anyways, pretty sure it was 23. Most of you did not plug in. You looked at the table and said it's got to be that one. You didn't plug in. You did not plug in. During ancient warfare, it was common to launch plague-ridden dead objects into fortifications under siege, blah, blah. How high in the sky will this plague-ridden projectile of death get? By hand, you do opposite B over 2A. And this would actually be, the time would be opposite B over 2A. Notice the parentheses there? So opposite of a positive 384 is a negative 384. A is going to be negative 16. You push some buttons, and the reason I use parentheses is because y'all just refused to go to math, nominator over D. If you did, you wouldn't need them. And you don't try to do the stuff. You just accept this is how you do it, and you never practice, and it gets to test day, and you can't do jack. Because the vast majority of the work you've turned in has been blind copying, whether it be me or somebody else. So 12 seconds is the time. This is not the height. If I want the height, I plug it back in. Put it there, there. And it ends up being 23:22. And you should do that, like check it. Okay? You set your trebuchet up to hit a certain target on the ground. So we're going to go to y equals, we're going to type in our equation, negative 16, we're going to use x, not t, to the second, plus 384x, I think it was plus 18, we'll put a 0 in y2. I'll do a zoom 6, although it's going to be useless to me. I'm going to, I know it takes 12 seconds to get to the middle roughly. So I'm going to set an X max of 25, and I'm going to look way up. This thing goes 2,300 feet in the sky, so Y max of 2,500, just to get a nice pretty picture. All right. Second, trace, 5. Take your cursor. Get it close to where it smashes into the ground, and then you press enter 3 times. 24.05. That's how hard that one was. This one's about being above 386 feet. So you put a 386 in Y2 and use the intersect feature. And you wait all of eternity for it to be done. Second, trace 5. I'm just going to go after this one over here. Enter, enter, enter. 1. Huh. Done. Father is 5 times old as his son. In 4 years, he will be 3 times his son's age. How old is the father? I gave you I gave you on the 76-point version equations. Everywhere you saw F, you could have put 5S. 5S. I'm going to call it a K because my S's look bad. Plus 4 equals 3. K plus 4. K for kid. So 5K plus 4 is equal to 3K plus 12. 5K minus 3K is 2K. You know, a big issue we have is a lot of you guys cannot solve two-step equations. 12 minus 4 is 8. The kid is 4 years old. The father is 5 times that age, which is 20. That's how hard the problem was on the 76er. Now on the 101 version, you had to come up with the equations on your own. 19. Like, why did y'all miss 19? I don't get it. I gave you the matrix. Second matrix. Edit. She's a 5 by 5. All you had to do was type these equations in. 1, 5, 10. All right. We have a 0. We have a 0. We have a 1. We have a -2. We have a 0. See how I'm doing? I'm just typing in the coefficients. 0, -2, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, -1, 12. Quit out. Second matrix. Math. Arrow up. Double REF. Second matrix. Enter, enter. 17 pennies, 5 nickels, 10 dimes, 5 quarters. Now, if you weren't in here, if you took the 101 version, you need to figure out where these equations came from. 20. Oh, how do you miss 20? Not a 0. Not a 0. This guy literally says x is -3. The factor is x plus 3. This says x is -1. The factor is x plus 1. X is 3. The factor is x minus 3. All the way over there. Now yours will be different because, like I said, 2 different versions of the same test, but the answers are the same for the most part. And I just barely did it. Kudos to me.